A good many years ago, I was struggling to learn how to play the banjo. I'd only been trying to do this for about 25 years. I was playing Scruggs style, you know, that thing where you put those little metal picks on your fingers and you had to claw your fingers up like you was trying to pick the innards out of a lobster or something like that, but you had to do it so fast it sounds like you're running a chainsaw. Well, I'd been at that for years and years and years, never had gotten any good at it, but you know, I was pretty stubborn and I really wanted to do it, so I just kept going. One day I was over at a friend's house and you know, he was talking a little bit about banjos, and she said, well, I got this banjo that I bought for my husband, but he never did like it because it was the wrong kind of banjo for him. He always wanted a different kind. And she offered to sell it to me for what I thought was a lot less than half what it was worth, but she wouldn't let me pay her any more money than that. So I said, well, okay, I want it. So I bought it and called up George. George was my landlord back then. He was a kind of a banjo nut. I said, George, I just bought this banjo, and in the back of it, it's got a little sign. It says Fairbanks Maker, Boston, Massachusetts. And he said, how fast can you get over here? Well, I drove over to George's house and he looked at it and he explained to me that I had bought a classic banjo. I didn't even know it. I didn't know there was such thing as this classic banjos. And he also explained to me that I could not play that banjo with those picks. He said I had to get rid of the picks, and he taught me how to play clawhammer. Well, that got me started in two directions. One, it got me started playing clawhammer. The other, it got me started being interested in antique classic banjos. Since then, I bought a boatload of them, but I always loved that old Fairbanks the best. Well, an unusual set of circumstances caused me to have to give up that banjo, and I sold it at a certain point, and I regretted it immediately, but you know, and I always kind of had this fantasy of trying to get it back, but you know, it's not likely I'd ever even be able to find it again. So a few years ago, I started looking to try to buy me another Fairbanks. Well, you know, every time I'd find one, it'd be something I couldn't afford. But I kept looking, and the other night I spotted one on eBay. It had about the worst looking bunch of pictures I had ever seen. But I saw it said Fairbanks Maker, and I put in a bid. I couldn't tell anything about the banjo because the pictures were just horrible. I didn't know if it was a 4-string or a 5-string, but I knew that, you know, I wanted one really bad. So I put in I thought a respectable bid, and I won the thing, and they shipped it to me, and all, you know, I was thinking, well, I hope I didn't buy a real piece of crap. Well, I'll show you what I bought. It's hanging over here on the wall, and it's an awful lot nicer than what I was expecting. This is a Fairbanks, an AC Fairbanks banjo number 0. It was made, I guess, for someone named C.C. Vile, because that's what the tag says right there, and it says Class Show, which I have no idea what that's all about. I looked up C.C. Vile on Google, and the only C.C. Vile I could find was indicted for running the house of ill repute back in the 1800s. It could have been the same guy, you know. This banjo was actually, according to the numbers, there is a number on the pot on this one, and according to the numbers, this banjo was made about 1890. It's made before they actually started doing some really fine woodwork on the neck, and it's got that old funny looking headstock that I always think it looks like an old shoe. It's kind of rounded off, but it has something on the headstock that I've never seen before. It has a brass, I don't know what you call that. It's a brass plate that's basically a woman's face, and it looks like her hair is all, you know, encircling her face. I don't know if that's flowers or her hair or a combination of both. Maybe it's a flower pot with her hair, with her face growing out of it. I don't exactly know, but it's pretty dang interesting, the picture. Oh, and another thing, it's got these old violin type tuners on it, which on every banjo I've ever had, these things have been horrible, but on this one, surprisingly, they work really well. It must be the way they're fitted in there. 3 of them have a little pearl dot on the back of them. This didn't have a 5th string, but I've got a bunch of pegs over there, so I found a peg and it fit in there just right. It also didn't have this little 5th string nut, but I had one of those and I stuck it in. The banjo is a little bit, it's a spun over nickel-plated brass, which is pretty common. I mean, that's what these banjos are. This is a supertone, and this one's a Lion and Healy, and that's another Lion and Healy. But the difference between this one and those is the thickness of the pot. The pot on this one is about 3/8 of an inch thicker. On these, the spun over brass just kind of comes even with the back of the pot. On this one, the pot's actually a bit bigger than the spun over brass part. This thing has a skin head on the back of it, and in the back of it, it has someone has written chords, notes, apparently for a song. And they've also done something else I've never seen. They put a sound post in here under the head. You can see pencil marks where they marked the spot for it, and they stuck a little sound post in there, which I've never seen anybody do on a banjo. I didn't even know what that was till a fellow YouTuber explained to me about sound posts and violins and all that stuff. It's got all the right hardware all the way around, except it's missing one nut right here doesn't match, but other than that, all these nuts are matching. It's also got a tailpiece that has a patent date on it. It has some very fine print on the tailpiece that I couldn't even read. The tailpiece was made in Rhode Island, and it was patented I believe it was 1888, and I looked up the serial number on this thing, and I'm thinking it was made in 1890 according to the serial number. Now, this house I'm living in was made in 1842, so this house was 48 years old when this banjo was made, and this banjo is pretty dang old. But my plan is I'm going to get me some nylon strings, and I'm going to take the whole thing apart, clean it up real good, and put it back together with those nylon strings. I was playing a friend of mine's Dobson the other day, and it had nylon strings on it, and I really liked that. When I got this one, it had 4 strings. One of them broke when I tried to tune it, so I put just a couple of strings on here temporarily till my nylon strings get here. And I'll just play a little bit on it so you can hear what it sounds like. A skin head on it, and it actually has a hole in it right here. I was very careful about tightening the head. In fact, it's still probably a little bit loose just because as old as it is, I didn't want to mess it up. The way the marks are on it down here, it almost looks like someone was playing it as a Scruggs style banjo, because when you play Scruggs style, your hand sits down here with your thumb just about on the bridge, and you do this little thing right here. So that's kind of interesting to me, because I can't imagine, well, I know back in the day nobody would have played this as a Scruggs style banjo, but it could have been a different owner did. These strings are ridiculously old. It's pretty obvious to me this thing hasn't been strung up in a long time. What often happens with an old banjo like this is somebody buys it new, plays it all their life, they die, their kids get it, they hang it on the wall, and then they die, and then it goes to an estate sale or who knows where. Somebody gets it and they don't have any idea what it's worth or what it means to anybody, and they wind up selling it off, and then it just kind of loses its way after that. Hello. So I mean, to me it's just delightful to get a treasure. This is a treasure, by the way. This is an absolute treasure. The Fairbanks company existed in Boston. The factory burned down in 1905. Fairbanks and Colla worked together making banjos for a while before the factory burned down. After it burned down, the Vega company, which everybody's heard of, bought them out. Continued using their patents to make banjos for a good while, and then they sold out to, I believe Deering probably owns them now or somebody like that. But